Hi, so I'll make a video for explaining marginal costing and cash budget. Flexible budget is not a part of the portion, so no need to understand that. Theory also is not a part of portion, so I'm not explaining the theory. So in the exam, they can ask us a question saying that do a cost volume profit analysis. So in that, if they ask us to do a cost volume profit analysis, we have to take out four things, that is contribution, break even point, which is break even analysis, profit volume analysis, in which we have to find out profit volume ratio, and margin of safety. So I'll directly jump on the formula because the theory is not important, but then first of all we have contribution. So contribution is sales minus variable cost. So what is contribution exactly? Contribution in other terms you could say is profit. Now if I ask you the formula of profit, it is total revenue minus total cost, correct? So instead of total revenue, we can also say it's total sales, or in this case just sales, minus total cost. But now total cost is divided into two costs, right? Fixed cost and variable cost. So we only take into consideration variable cost. Now why is that so? Contribution is very similar to profit but not exactly the same. uh, Contribution in its core sense means the amount of production that I'm doing and the amount of sales I am doing. What is the exact value that I am getting from this sales? So for a clearer example, I'll say, let's assume कि मेरा fixed cost is 1,50,000 on a machinery, and variable cost is 10 rupees per unit. I produce 100 units, so that is 1,000 rupees ka variable cost and 1,50,000 ka fixed cost. Now the issue is, if I'll increase my production, then my fixed cost won't increase. So if I increase my production from, let's say, 100 units to 1,000 units, the variable cost would be 10,000 rupees, and my fixed cost would be 1,50,000. So my variable cost is increasing but fixed cost is remaining the same. सो इवन जो जब अगर मेरा कम प्रोडक्शन रहेगा, then also my profit will be less because the fixed cost is already there, 1,50,000. On the other hand, in contribution, even if the fixed cost is there, we don't take it into consideration. So जब we deduct fixed cost, then अगर मैंने 10 प्रोड्यूस किया, then variable cost कम रहेगा, so my contribution will be higher. If I produce 1,000, तो मेरा variable cost थोड़ा high जाएगा and my contribution will become lower, but the variable aspect of it will get included. That's why contribution is, like, in simple terms, it is literally the contribution of each unit of sales done to the profit. So it's like sales minus variable cost. Now this fixed cost plus profit, it's very simple. Profit का हमने formula अभी discuss किया, total revenue minus total cost. If we take profit के बदले we substitute total revenue and minus total cost. Now total cost is fixed cost minus variable cost. So fixed cost gets cancelled. We get total revenue minus variable cost, which is sales minus variable cost. So this formula is a derivation of this formula. Now next formula, fixed expenses upon BEP in units. I'll explain it to you later because I'll explain break even point पहले. So break even point. What is break even point? Break even point is exactly क्या कि in units, the number of the answer that comes is the number of units that I need to produce or sell to get a profit, to get no profit and no loss, sorry. So let's assume that I produce, no, I can't take an example, it will get too complicated, but let's say my cost is 1,50,000 and my sales are 1,50,000, then that's no profit no loss, and that's my break even point in units. So the number of units that I produce for sales of 1,50,000, it's a break even point in units. Now let's see the formula. Fixed expenses upon contribution in units. So here I have not written, it should be in units. So fixed expenses. Now we discussed what contribution is, right? Contribution is what? The contribution is the contribution of per contribution of um, each unit to the profit, correct? So contribution of each unit to the profit. Contribution already has variable cost taken into consideration. Okay, so the contribution per unit is technically the profit we earn per unit. Now we have the profit we earn per unit, but this is not the actual profit we are earning. This is profit without the fixed expenses. So now we have to see, okay, if I am my fixed expenses which are fixed in nature, what do I like? What is the contribution of each unit? So divided, like let's say, assume, I'll take an example. Okay, so this is the fixed expense and this is the contribution per unit. So what does this mean? Fixed expense, let's talk, say this fixed expense is of machinery, 1 lakh ka machinery we purchase. So this fixed expense of 1 lakh machinery, इसमें से 10 rupees per unit का contribution हो रहा है of the total production that I'm doing. So 1 lakh fixed expenses में 1 lakh machinery में I produce 1000 units. तो इन 1000 units का per unit contribution is 10. So technically क्या होता है? I'm producing 10,000 units, तो 1 lakh gets divided by 10,000. क्यों? क्योंकि ये फिक्स एक्सपेंसेस जो है, इट इज़ द टोटल अक्यूमुलेशन ऑफ द इट्स द टोटल ऑफ द फाइनल प्रोडक्शन. अब फाइनल प्रोडक्शन कितना भी हो, 1 यूनिट हो, फिक्स एक्सपेंस 1 लाख का रहेगा, 10,000 हो, फिक्स एक्सपेंस 1 लाख का ही रहेगा. सो बट अब क्या होता है, जब मैं 1 प्रोड्यूस कर रहा हूँ तो जो फिक्स्ड एक्सपेंसेस है वो पूरा 1 लाख इज गेटिंग यूज फॉर 1 यूनिट. ऑन द अदर हैंड व्हेन आई एम प्रोड्यूसिंग 10,000, तो जो पूरा का पूरा फिक्स एक्सपेंस है दैट इज गेटिंग इंक्लूडेड फॉर 10,000 यूनिट्स, दैट इज 1 lakh divided by 10,000 which is 10. Fixed expenses is fixed expenses upon contribution in units, that is BEP in units. BEP in rupees. So BEP in rupees is fixed expenses upon contribution